Hey, I'm Kailan May. I'm from Bega Games, and I'm here with
Greg Pryjmachuk from Minskworks.
And you're the only developer on this project, right?
I'm the only developer on Jalopy, but I've got another guy, Jeremy, who does the music.
Oh wow, okay. So, I mean, it's a very unusual game in appearance. You know, it's just like all you can see is a car. So, can you talk about what Jalopy is?
Well, the way I'd describe it is it's a road trip simulator. So you start off with a scrappy old Leica, which is the car you see behind us. You build it with your uncle, and then you set off on a road trip through the Eastern Bloc. So that's through Germany, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, those sort of countries.
Yeah, and think Turkey as well as the last one?
Turkey's where you end, yeah, it's where you get to. As you come out of the Eastern Bloc, you enter Turkey.
So, is there any plans beyond these 5 countries to add any additional countries to the mix?
There's no plans, but I'd have to be careful if I did, because a lot of the fans, when they request what country to add, they request their own country. So I get a lot from Poland and Russia, and a couple even from Siberia.
Oh yeah, it's just a short drive. Oh yeah, why not add England in there? You know, you're just driving through like Germany and Yugoslavia, and then you just stop by England, you know, before going on to Turkey.
Maybe a little wormhole to take you there.
Oh yeah. So to dial it back to the original description, you called it like a road trip simulator. And I think another description is like a car survival title, because it is all about just getting your Jalopy running and just trying to get it through all the way from Eastern Germany over to Turkey. But it's such an unusual choice. Why go with this genre?
A lot of it is because I like the mechanics of a car, and they merge very well to the gameplay. Like you say, it's a survival game. There's no death in it. You can't die as a character, but the car can die. The car can run out of fuel. It can break down. You can get too many flat tires that you can't even push the car. So in a sense, the car is the character player, and you're having this sort of out-of-body experience repairing that car. A lot of these choices came from, I used to work on the Formula 1 franchise at Codemasters, and I really enjoyed the aspects of those games where you'd pit and you'd pick when to change your tyres, and there used to be refueling and when to refuel. But I didn't actually enjoy the driving around the track that much. So I wanted to explore the more systems-driven approach to driving games. And then, of course, that's what Jalopy ended up being. Oh,
yeah. And it's kind of like relaxing, kind of trying to keep a track on your components and trying to keep them changed in. It's like, I admit, I'm not usually into cars at all. My brothers are, my older brother especially, but me just doesn't do anything for me. But yeah, I just kind of find Jalopy enjoyable and relaxing, just because you are changing the components. You're not driving around, you're just trying to make the components last as long as you can,
Yeah, I tried to make it a very low barrier to entry as well, so people who didn't understand the mechanics of a car can still pick at the components, put them in the car, and have it work how they would expect it to work. I think most people understand the logic of you need fuel to drive the car, but it's all just about telegraphing that to the player.
Yeah, and it's honestly really well telegraphed, because there are some details I wouldn't have understood. Yeah, like as ditzy as it is, putting oil in the car, which from that, one of the interesting parts of Jalopy is kind of how customizable it is, sort of, because you're talking about putting new engine parts and things like that. And I wondered just how customizable your Jalopy is.
A lot of the inspiration I took was from games like Diablo, where a lot of it's about loot hunting or hunting for better gear. And I wanted to take that sort of mechanical approach and put it into a car game. So as you're driving through these countries, you can find better or worse components, and you can add them to your car, and they may need repairing or maintaining, and they'll change the performance of the car or the reliability of the car.
Yeah. Including speed, reliability, yeah.
Fuel load, those sort of things.
Are you able to change the body of the car, or is that just stays as it is?
You can change the paint, you can repair the broken door on the side, and you can add attachment extras to the car like a roof rack, mud guards, those sort of things. But the actual frame of the car at the minute you can't change, no.
Okay. As you're driving around, it is all about maintenance, and you need money to make that maintenance. How do you generate money in the game and buy new parts?
Well, there's several approaches. You can, if you're really low on funds, you'll want to scavenge for stuff that's fallen to the roadside. So you want to pick up broken components or tradable goods that have been left in boxes, and you want to sell them at the next country you'll get to, the next border. Yeah. If you've got a lot of money and you want to make even more money, then you'll want to buy goods for cheaper in one country, get them through the border, whether it be they're banned in that country, which will give you a lot of money for selling it in the next country, or whether they're just unusually rare there, and you'll be able to, depending on the rareness, there's a whole economy sort of simulated in the background of the game, depending on how well you look ahead in the future and sell the goods, is depending on how much profit you'll make.
So how telegraphed is it what kind of goods might be more valuable in the near future?
So you have to sort of work it out, where the border will tell you which goods are banned, and if there's a good that's banned in that country, that'll be worth a lot. Other stuff you have to read, there's a newspaper at the motel, and that'll give you a hint on what's happening to the economy over there. Like they'll say like a textiles factory is burnt down, which will mean then textiles are very rare in that country, and you'll probably want to sell them there.
Okay. If it's banned in the country, wouldn't you have the goods confiscated at the border?
Yeah, you can get your car searched depending on how well behaved you are in the country beforehand. So if you're crashing into AI traffic, or you're knocking on other hotel guest doors causing a nuisance, driving through red lights, then the border guards are going to be more inclined to search you.
So it's like a chance depending on like how much of a nuisance.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay. I hadn't even noticed that. And as you're driving through each of the countries, I wonder if there was like a random event system. Like you mentioned the idea of like random components like drop to the wayside. Are there other random events possible, like say road accidents that you have to drive around, or traffic jams, or maybe even like a hitchhiker or two?
There was originally planned to have hitchhikers, but the AI took a while for Uncle to get in place, so that's something that I'll have to look into in the future. But at the minute, the main things are with the routes are generated at runtime, but we also generate the weather system, so it could be rainy, it could be foggy, it could be sunny. We also generate the quality of the road ahead, so if you've got a bad quality road ahead of you, then your tyres are going to take more of a wear, and you're going to get a flat tyre pretty soon.
And these are all just randomized if the road is fine or just completely messed up? Yeah.
The map will tell you at the start of the journey. It'll give you an idea of what's ahead of you, the distance, the weather, and the road conditions.
Okay. In terms of weather, would snow be included, and icy roads?
I think it's possible. If I did do it, I'd replace the rain in Bulgaria for snow, because that's the closest country I've got to being colder climate, because you go higher altitude in the mountains.
Yeah. I admit I was thinking it through, and it was just like, well, Turkey, probably not. Because it'd probably be a late level thing, because ice and snow are a bit tricky by cars. Yeah. Speaking of updates, the most recent one you mentioned earlier was the Uncle update. What does Uncle add to the experience?
So Uncle's basically the narrative direction. He's the story in Jalopy. So he took a real long time to get working correctly, because when we originally first entered early access, he was the cause of pretty much most of the bugs. So we put him on holiday for a while, and now he's come back. And he just provides the story aspect of the game.
I remember hearing that he was in the original game and just caused a lot of trouble. So it's just story, that's it. All right, cool. And is there an option to turn off Uncle if just this is my 20th run, I've already heard this tale, Uncle, maybe take a break, stay at home, I'll make this journey on my own? Yeah,
you can leave Uncle at home. So you can, if you start the game after you've done the tutorial, If you just walk past him, he'll ignore you. But if you go up to him, he'll ask you if you want him to. He wants to join you on your journey.
Oh, sweet.
So
Okay.
you can go alone, yeah.
But speaking of like setting and that kind of thing, like the Eastern Bloc is a very unusual setting for a game. You know why? Well, Eastern Bloc.
A lot of the media around that sort of time period is very politically driven, and I kind of just wanted to explore like a more personal tale, and that's just have it as a setting rather than the over like arching politics of it, because I think the risk of us losing that part of history when we talk about it to just being about the wall and being about the politics behind the wall and that, and not how people went about their daily lives during that time.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, there have been a couple of like games about like what was happening behind the wall, but yeah, you're right. It does tend to be more politically charged rather than talking about okay, what were their just general daily lives about, you know?
Yeah. A lot of it was about how were the people dealing with introduction of capitalism and stuff when they used to having everything strictly regulated in their lives.
With the release date coming up, is there any post-release support planned? Any future updates in mind currently?
Well, the way I've found with development these days is it's not within a developer's benefit to just make a game, release it and forget about it. A lot of the revenue generated by Jalopy is long-term revenue. So what I want to do is I don't see it as a game, we'll hit the release, but I don't see it as a game I'll ever stop working on. I own the company, I'm the developer, it's like being an author, I'm like an author of the game. There's nobody telling me to say, okay, stop doing that now. I can still keep working on it in future. So, and it's a systems-driven game as well, so there's no sort of, it's not difficult to add extra features.
Yeah, you're not like constrained by like say the environment or say other visions within a company. You know, it is your vision and it is your game and it is mostly just about the car like survivalism. It's not focused on this grand narrative. So yeah, totally. Like, just is there any particular additions in mind currently, or?
I want to do more car upgrades and more events happening during your travels, rather than, a lot of people ask for more countries, but I feel there's more benefit adding more stuff that happen within the countries. So the point-to-point driving is a bit more interesting.
Currently, it's out on PC. Do you see it seeing any other console release or anything like that?
No consoles, but I want to do the Mac and Linux builds. That's what I'm working towards now. The release basically is I want to get localization in, steering wheel inputs in, and I want to get it on the Mac and Linux builds. So then we've got a solid foundation of a game, and then start adding more to it from there.
Okay. Although, speaking of, do you have a release date in mind quite yet?
It's not going to be this year now. We're approaching the window now where all the AAA games start coming out, so there's no point in me trying to take on them. They suck the air out of the room, so I'll wait till next year now.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And what price is it currently? Like, there was a price increase recently, right?
Yeah, it was a £1 price increase. It's £10.99 on Steam now, but it's currently on a 50% offer. So it's so I don't know what that brings it down to with Steam's maths, because it changes.
Yeah, especially because we're talking pounds, and like some people are, say, like American or European, so their own currency. All right, sweet. Yeah, thank you for the interview.
No, thank you for providing the interview.
No problem at all.